through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Tables turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What is going on, people? It's G, and we are back in the building. You already know what time it is. Please make sure you smash that like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. So today we're here with another episode of my Liverpool summer transfer targets, and today we are looking at Bradley Barcola of Lyon. Now, big up Jon II, guys, the guy who my intro music comes from. Very, very good musician, very, very good artist. Just head over to his page. His link is always in my description, so please head over to his YouTube channel, head over to his Instagram page, head over to his TikTok as well to go and check out some of the latest music from him. Very, very good music, man. If you're into that, you'll definitely like it. Now, he's been talking a lot. He likes Lyon, by the way. He has his favorite players for Lyon. He won't mind me saying. And this is a player that he has spoken to me about. You know, he spoke to me about him quite recently, well, not recently, maybe a few months back, should I say, when I was doing some of the player watches. And again, this is another player that you know, if you've seen any of my player watches, you know, I've spoken about him and the type of player that he is. Now, that was back then. We fast forward a few months. Looking at someone like a Bradley Barcola, I'm very interested in this type of player. Now, at first, I was a little bit like, he's all right. Do you know what I mean? He looks okay. And then I saw him up against Liverpool in a, I don't know if you want to call it a pre-season or mid-season / pre-season friendly when we were in Dubai. And we had that Dubai Cup. And we played against Lyon, and Lyon played a lot of their youngsters and stuff like that just after the World Cup. And he was one of the players that played. And when he played, I was like, rah. So this is the guy that you're talking about. Okay. Now, again, it's just a mid-season, you know, friendly. So you don't want to go too far with what your thinking is in terms of a player. I can't ever judge a player off, you know, pre-seasons or mid-season friendlies and stuff. Any friendly, to be honest with you, I don't take seriously, you know. But in terms of looking at a player in terms of what he can do, you know, on the ball, off the ball and stuff like that. When I did look at him, I said, you know what, this is a very tidy individual, you know, very, very tidy individual. Now, obviously plays for Lyon, as I mentioned, can play on the left-hand side, right side, and obviously through the middle, mostly played as a right winger. 9 games as a right winger this season, got himself 3 goals and 5 assists. As a centre forward this season, played 7 games, 2 assists, left winger, 4 games, 1 goal and 5 assists as a left winger. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe left wing might even be your best position. Yes, I know you've played mostly as a right winger, but left wing might just be the position that you potentially want to take up because that's where you're actually getting the most joy. Now, again, the fact that he can play in so many various different positions in that attacking third, fantastic. You know, I love players like that. And I think, again, you know, talking about him for Liverpool, when I think of someone like this, I always think to myself, okay, so who do we have in the team that can play in all 3 of these positions and do so, you know, quite efficiently, you know? And at the moment, I don't think Liverpool really do. You know, we kind of have players who stick to their positions, you know, in terms of Salah, he's the right winger. He can't play through he can play through the middle, but he's not that good through the middle. He's not that effective, you know, in terms of what he tries to do. And he definitely can't play left wing. You've got Gakpo. Gakpo is probably the most versatile. Him and Jota, I would say, are quite versatile in terms of they can play left wing, but they can also play through the middle. Gakpo is probably a better fit for Liverpool through the middle in terms of what Jurgen Klopp wants, you know, the team to do, but he can obviously play out wide as well. And Diaz, for me, can only play on that left-hand side. You don't get the same Diaz through the middle, and you definitely don't get the same Diaz on the right-hand side. You know, a player loves to cut in and get shots off. You can't really do that, you know, with your weaker foot, him being right-footed. But when I'm looking at Barcola, you know, he seems to be able to play left wing, can play right wing, he can play through the middle, and he's quite effective in all those positions. Now, this is obviously just from this season. And when we're looking at, you know, him this season, played 26 times, you know, 15 games he's started. You know, he's been in team of the week once. He's got himself 5 goals. Again, this is from 15 starts, you know, and I think he has scored a couple coming off the bench potentially. But, you know, his stats look pretty decent. And even watching him for Lyon this season, again, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say to you that at the beginning of the season, he was a player that I thought, yeah, we should definitely sign. He just looked like, again, a Lyon youngster, Ryan Cherky, he's another Lyon youngster, obviously probably the best youngster that they've got. But he was probably the one I was looking at a lot more than a Bradley Barcola. But this season, Barcola has really, really taken his game to the next level. And it's quite interesting to see that he's been able to, advance to this kind of level. And he's only 20 years of age. And I think he is a very, very exciting individual. His scoring frequency this season, every 289 minutes, 0.2 goals per game. He gets one shot off a game, one shot, 0.5 shots on target, per game. So this is the guy who loves playing in those positions. We look here, he's got himself 8 assists. Expected assists he's got is 4.23. He gets 28 touches per game. Big chances created this season, 10. Key passes per game, he gets at least 1. Accurate per game, 12.2, 72%. Accurate passes passes in his own half, 3.3, 78%. Again, purely because of the position that he does play in. So I don't expect that to be too high. An opposition half, I expect that to be a little bit higher, to be honest with you, 9.1, 68%. But he's kind of an off the ball kind of movement player. He's extremely quick. He can get in behind defenses. And he is someone that loves a through ball, knocked into him because of that pace that he does have. Something that I noticed quite a lot, when we played against him in that in the Dubai Cup. Looking here, this is just the stats kind of thing. These metrics, sometimes when you look at them, and I'll say this, when you look at metrics like this, it's funny because I've only really seen these kind of metrics this season, well, maybe because I've been looking at scouting players a lot more this season. Maybe I've just noticed it more. But when you look at this, sometimes it could be a little bit like, yeah, that looks amazing. Because if you just looked at, if I didn't tell you who this was, and I just showed you this, and I said, listen, this is going to be, this is a right winger I think Liverpool should sign. I'm not going to show you anything else but just the stats. And I showed you this, you'd say sign him up straight away. In the 99th percentile for assists, 99th for blocks, 97th for interceptions, 88 for aerial duels won, blocks, clearances, touches in the attacking penalty area, progressive passes. This guy, he can do a lot. If I just showed you the statistics, again, go away and watch this kind of player. On the ball, I think he's really, really good. I think he's a very, very good winger, and he's like a modern day winger. It says here, Barcola ticks most boxes of a modern-day winger who's brilliant in attack and possesses the awareness to track back and help his team out defensively. As a dribbler, he's also highly adaptable and can change from being a supreme dribbler to a brilliant passer in just a second. So naturally, this puts pressure on the opposition, who know that they have to block the player and the passing lane simultaneously to stop him. And I think that's true with someone like him. He's a live wire. He's someone, when he's on the ball, I almost feel like he's a modern day winger, but I almost feel that he is quite unpredictable in what he's going to do next, because he's so quick. He can get in behind. He's a very good dribbler off the ball. He's got a little skills and stuff like that. He's got the technical ability as well. When he does get into that final third, he can get himself a shot off, and he loves to take these shot off. But because of that pace that he can get, an acceleration that he can get himself down that line, if he is on the left-hand side, for example, he's so dangerous, and he's got a decent array of finishes as well. Is he the complete article? No way, not at all. I still think he's got another few levels to go before he actually reaches there. But if you're looking at a base player right now, someone who's quite young, 20 years of age, to come in and almost be just like a backup, to Mo Salah, especially on that right-hand side, I'm looking around, and there's not many players I'm looking at this current moment in time and thinking to myself, you know what, get this guy in, because he can do everything Mo can do, and he'd be a great option off the bench. There's players out there, your Musa Diabys and stuff like that, Elise's. Now those guys are obviously the next level. I think that a Barcola should be aiming to get to. It's that next step up, and you only get there through moving teams to a bigger team, better league, different competitions, different strengths and stuff like that. I think he could potentially reach that level. But those kind of players, as much as I would absolutely love to see those kind of players. I would love to. Everyone knows my love for players like Eze and Elise, the Musa Diabys of this world. If they could come to Liverpool, brilliant. But because of the type of club we are, we wouldn't sign. I don't think we would sign those kind of players, purely because, one, I think they'd cost quite a lot of money to get them in. And if they're going to pay that kind of money for those kind of players, we're not going to want to put them on the bench. And are those type of players ready to come in and fight with a Mo Salah, world-class player? It's going to, a legend at the football club. It's going to be difficult. Maybe in a season or two, I think Salah's contract runs out 2025, I believe. So maybe in a season or two, you look at it and think, okay, now you go in and get an Elise. Maybe now you can go in and get a Musa Diaby if they haven't already moved. But at this current moment in time, if you're looking at trying to develop a player into that type of winger, I can't see why you wouldn't look at Bradley Barcola. You know, he just seems like, for me, he'd fit. And I don't feel like the transfer fee or anything like that would be so high where we couldn't sign him, or, you know, it might be a bit of a waste of money and stuff like that. You look at the position that he likes to take up, and this is just only in League left-hand side, right-hand side, through the middle. You know, as mentioned before, he's someone who can track back. So again, that off-the-ball work rate, he's got that in his locker. And that's actually something that, you know, with someone like a Mo Salah, I don't really feel he has that really in his locker, in terms of, you see it sometimes, of course you do. He'll, you know, sometimes, you know, last season in the 22-23 season, you saw Mo Salah, you know, bursting back, you know, to try and win a ball. But I just felt like that was just more just down to frustration, i.e. not getting the ball when he should be getting the ball, you know, kind of being out of the game, you know, really, really quiet. So this is a great way to get myself into the game, which is, you know, to help out in defense and then potentially pick up the ball, get the ball kind of moving. Mo Salah, again, is another player who loves his game to be in the attacking third. If you don't want to switch things up and you don't want to change things too much, Bradley Barcola, for me, is a player that could potentially come in and do that, you know, similar role. You know, this is from Foot the Ball, just some of the statistics, you know, from Barcola, you know, this season. You know, you can see here some of the attributes, and I'll let you guys kind of pause it here if you want to. You know, you can kind of read this for yourself. But he looks like a player that I think Liverpool should potentially be looking at, you know, for this summer. And again, I'm thinking about a potential, and again, this is just potentially low transfer fee. Transfer market, I've got him valued at about 7 million. How much it would cost to get him? I would say less than 20 million at the bare minimum, you know, at the maximum, to be honest. I wouldn't pay any more than 20 million, you know, for him. So if they've got him valued at about 7 million, how much would Lyon let someone like him go? I've heard rumours, reports, don't know if this is true or, you know, at all, where Lyon are a bit of their owner or the club are in a bit of problems where they need to kind of release some funds. So there might be a few players from Lyon that may potentially need to leave just to be able to raise those funds. Obviously, you've got Lukeba as well, Barcola, Cherky, you know, players like that may just need to leave the club in order for them to kind of be able to, I don't want to say stay afloat because I don't know too much about that story, but it's just something that had floated about recently. And this is why when I'm looking at someone like a Bradley Barcola, I'm thinking to myself, maybe this might be the right time for Liverpool to potentially try and pinch him in, you know, try and get this kind of player into the football club, get him integrated into the team, first day of pre-season, and then we can kind of move from there. And then we're not so pressed about that right wing position. I know we've got Harvey Elliott. I know we've got, what's his name, Ben Doak. I know we've got these guys in those kind of positions, but are they really the Ben Doak? Maybe. It's really hot. Bendo maybe might be the kind of player potentially who could fill that Mo Salah, you know, kind of role in the future. He's young enough as well to be able to be nurtured. He's young enough to be developed into that kind of role. I'm not really against it, to be honest with you. I do think potentially he could be there, but when I'm also thinking to myself, Barcola's already there. He's already at the stage where I want my player to kind of be, which is you can play in a numerous amount of positions, left wing, through the middle, and on that right-hand side. So again, we're going to need the depth anyway. When Mo leaves, you're going to need a player in plus another player to obviously back him up. We don't want to just keep having this one player for every position, and then if that player drops out for any reason, you're kind of left in a catch-22. Barcola, for me, fills that gap because he's still got the room to develop. He's playing at a decent level, you know, a pretty decent level anyway at Ligue 1. You know, and he's showcasing his skills, showcasing his quality. You know, I just think that this for me would be a perfect fit. But, you know, guys, let me know what you think, you know, in the comments. We look here at the positions. Obviously, he's played this season, 4-2-3-1 for Lyon. He's played on that left-hand side. So again, showing that versatility in that. And that's, I think, when Ryan Cherky isn't playing, because he likes to operate on that right-hand side. And he's another player I would love for Liverpool, you know, and I think I'll be doing a video on him soon. But he's another player I think Liverpool should potentially be looking at. But he's got, Ryan Cherky's got pace, but not as much as Bradley Barcola. And I feel like with Cherky, he's more of a dribbler. He's more of a player, ball to feet type of individual. And I feel like we've already, I think he's better than Harvey Elliott in that position. But then if I know Liverpool, they won't want to go down that kind of route because they don't like this whole stopping players development, you know, so to speak. Hence the reason why I don't think that would even be realistic enough to be getting in that type of player. And then obviously, playing on that right hand side, for Lyon again in that 4-2-3-1 formation. So, this might be a player, maybe not, some people may be looking at him and thinking, you know what, we need to focus our efforts elsewhere. And I totally agree. I do think there are other areas of the pitch maybe we need to be concentrating on a little bit more. And I mentioned recently on Twitter, speaking about the type of, or how many players I would like to see the club get. The amount of players I think the club should get to get us back to competing, for titles is different than what I actually think the club are going to do. But I'm just more trying to figure out ways where we can fill holes and gaps where we don't need to necessarily worry. And because at the end of the day, we're still going to need to worry about some of these positions in a year's time. Players like Thiago, if he doesn't leave now, we're going to need to potentially fill that spot. Van Dijk, he's only got a couple of years left on his contract. Mo Salah, a couple of years left in their contract. How are they going to be towards the ending of their contracts anyway? Are they going to be playing at that optimum level? We don't really know. We don't want to fall behind. I don't want to be sitting here and watching a season and thinking to myself, blimey, Mo Salah's bloody, he's rubbish now. We ain't got no one in there. We're going to have to spend a God knows amount of money to try even find someone for that level when we could have already had someone who's waiting in the wings, ready to take that position. And then we can move, from there. Some players can't obviously just be replaced. Van Dijk's, I think, Mo Salah, I think they'll be so difficult to replace. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying Barcola comes in and he's just going to score 30 goals this season. I'm not saying someone comes in for Van Dijk and he's just going to be a rock at the back, one of the best centre-backs of this generation. I'm not saying that at all. But we do need to start thinking about making these contingency plans, for the future. So, he's my contingency plan, Bradley Barcola. Let me know what you guys obviously think in the comment section. Would you guys like to see him at the football club? Are there other right wingers you think we should potentially be looking to sign? Again, think about the money that we have to sign to spend on these players. Think about the club that we're at and we support, in terms of the business deals that we may or may not potentially do. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm G. We are out.